Before we get into the movies, I just want to ask really quick, if you have not already, why don't you subscribe? If you're new to the channel or you've watched some of my videos before, subscribing really helps me out, and liking does as well. So whether you're subscribed or not, you can always like the video too. Thank you, and now let's jump into some very, very absurd movies. Breaking news! A new episode of Let's Be Frank starting now! Hello all! Movies, thousands upon thousands upon thousands, have been made. Some are fantastic, and some are terrible. But there is a very special place for movies that aren't necessarily bad. They're just more absurd. Well, granted, some of the absurd movies we're going to be talking about today are pretty bad, but there are also a couple that are pretty good. So it kind of evens itself out a bit. Now we're going to be talking about 4 different movies today. One I have talked about before. I made an entire video on it. So that's the one we're going to start off with. I thought it would be really fun to share with you guys some of the most absurd movies I've ever seen. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into number 1. Like I said, we've talked about it before, but that does not mean we can't talk about it again. Briefly.
It's Such a Beautiful Day.
You guys may recognize this movie from a video I did in the past. Now, I wanted to cover and talk about this movie in general, just because I know it's so crazy and absurd, and at first glance, just plain weird. But at the end of the day, it's still, in my opinion, a fantastic piece of art. And side note, I don't think I really got my full feelings across when I originally made the video on It's Such a Beautiful Day. I love that movie so much. And the first time I saw it, it just left me in shock and it left me confused. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know exactly what was going on through a lot of the movie.
The next morning, Bill actually felt pretty good. The day after that, he felt even better. Then he felt a lot worse. But the following day, Bill felt just fine.
As I said in the video I did on the movie, I said that, there are entire segments of this movie that you eventually learn may not have been real. All the information you were given was maybe just made up in somebody's head. This movie does a fantastic job of representing mental illness in this poor guy's head and what it feels like to be him. I don't know. I guess I don't want to dig myself another hole and maybe say the wrong thing about this movie again, but listen here. At the end of the day, this is a movie everybody needs to check out. It is free to, at least it was last time I checked, free to watch on Vimeo, and if you have not already seen it, give it a watch. It's only like an hour long, and I guarantee you it will hold your attention the entire time.
His doctor said he had some discouraging news. The latest tests ruled out the possibility of further surgeries, and his current treatment didn't seem to be making any progress. He wanted to start Bill on something new. He couldn't think of any reason why Bill should be seeing things, though, and asked him a series of questions. And after understanding, he thought he was going through a lot of stress right.
Absurd? Yes. But this movie is fantastic. Like I said, it's an art piece. Go watch it. Okay, so we've talked about that before, so we're not going to spend much time on it. Unfortunately, though, that means we're moving on to the next absurd movie, and it just so happens to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Cats. Ugh.
I never wanted to see the 2019 Cats movie. In fact, I never really wanted to see the Broadway show. I don't know. The whole idea of it seemed like it could work on paper, And although I'd never seen the Broadway show, I just never had any interest to. It didn't seem like the execution would have been pulled off that well, but you know what? It was a beloved Broadway show for a reason, so who am I to talk? However, I did watch the movie. Aaron actually convinced Katrina and I to see it all together. And wow, what a mistake.
Curious cat.
I only know of one person who actually enjoyed the movie. None other than Joachim Bowers. Who else to enjoy such a terrible movie? Joachim himself called the movie an experience and said that everybody should give it a try. Sorry to call you out, Joachim, but you're wrong. It was not a good movie. It was absurd to the eyes. This movie had so much wrong with it. I don't want to sit here and talk about Cats for long. Well, I'd love to talk about Cats. Not the Cats movie, though. Whether it was that one cat who had that one really long song, here she is up on the screen, who would sing a very slow, very drawn out song while the camera was right here on her with snot dripping out of her nose for what felt like eternity, but was probably like a good 10-minute long scene of nothing but that. Or maybe it was when Rebel Wilson's character, full furry Rebel Wilson spreading her cat crotch open at the screen. What the heck? Why would anybody make this movie? It was terrible. It was a bad decision. It was absurd. Everything that happened in it was poorly. I have no words. You all understand. Why am I spending so long talking about this? You all understand. None of you watched the movie, and if you did, it was only out of morbid curiosity, like me. Maybe I just didn't understand it, but quite frankly, I don't want to. And it wasn't just me who didn't enjoy it. So what am I saying? Anybody who did enjoy it is an outlier. Okay, I've dwelled upon a movie we all know would be terrible for long enough. So let's move on to a movie that wasn't quite as egregious, but was still pretty freaking absurd.
The Man Who Killed Hitler and also Bigfoot.
Now I'll admit, out of all 4 movies on this list, The Man Who Killed Hitler and also Bigfoot sounds like it should be the best movie ever, right?
I never wanted that, even if he had it coming. And he did.
Like, that sounds amazing. It's gonna be all about this guy who, did all these incredible things during World War II. He killed frickin' Hitler. He didn't kill himself, apparently. No, this guy killed him. And then he goes on to hunt down Bigfoot? Sign me up. Sounds great. Available on Hulu right now. Let's go watch it. No. Actually, instead of it being great, it's not. No, seriously, this movie was actually, despite how zany and insane the title is, it was a pretty boring, lackluster movie. First of all, he kills Hitler in a flashback. I only saw this movie once, so if I get some stuff wrong, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure, though, he kills Hitler in a flashback. And if it happens really fast, regardless. He spends most of the movie not really doing anything, if I'm being honest. It's not even until, the very end that he actually starts hunting Bigfoot at all. What? And by the way, any scene with the Bigfoot was really gross. Apparently Bigfoot is, spreading disease, a deadly disease now? And that's why he's so, diseased and gross. I don't know. Maybe I just missed something that made the movie fantastic, but I watched this. I also watched this movie with Katrina and Jokum. I tend to watch really absurd movies with a very specific group of people. And they agreed. The movie was boring and just absurd. Not in a good way, because there are movies that are absurd in a good way. Like the last movie we're going to talk about. Absurd in a good way. But there's not even much to say about the man who killed Hitler and also Bigfoot, because the movie's hardly about that. I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch it. Sometimes, you don't get the full message the movie's going for on the first time. Honestly, out of all 4 movies on this list, that's probably the one I got the least out of. At least Cats made me feel a horrible, terrible feeling of regret. This movie just left me bored. Just the concept of the movie overall was absolutely absurd, and if only they would have pulled it off, it could have been the best absurd movie on this list. But it's time to move on to a movie I expected nothing of, but ended up thoroughly enjoying.
Fat Man.
So once again, it was Aaron who invited Kyle and I to go see this movie. Aaron had sent us the trailer to watch and to see if we would be interested in it. I never watched the trailer, but I said, alright, let's go. I'll see it with you guys. I don't watch a lot of things they send me, and it just kind of gets swept under the rug sometimes. What are you going to do? But, so I went into this movie completely blind. The only thing I knew about it was that it was going to be about hunting Santa Claus. That's it. That's all I knew going in. And it was absurd. But so good. I don't know. I cannot comprehend how they actually pulled it off. This kid doesn't get the gift he wants, and so he hires a hitman to kill Santa. That's basically the plot of the movie. And it was really an action-packed adventure. I liked it. I loved it. I was able to take the movie. How do I even say this? I was able to take it seriously up until I saw Santa. I think they called him Nick throughout the movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, editing Frank. But until Saint Nick got out of bed, reached under his bed, and grabbed out a loaded gun, and he cocks it to go confront the hitman. That's when I started laughing in the theater, because it just clicked with me what was going on. What I was really watching had just clicked in that moment. And if I'm going to implore you to see any movie on this list, it's going to be Fat Man. I've already told you to see It's Such a Beautiful Day in the past, but Fat Man turned out to be such an enjoyable movie. I've only seen it once, but I keep meaning to buy the DVD for it because I want to see it again. I don't want to give away any more of the plot or anything like that, but if the idea of a grizzled Santa Claus having to get into a gunfight to survive sounds like a fun time to you, even if it just sounds absurd to you as well, give it a shot. I do not think you'll regret it. Even if you laugh throughout the whole thing and don't take it seriously, it's a ride. It's a trip, to be sure. Watch it. Watch all the videos I just recommended, right? Well, wait, hold on. Not Cats. Don't bother yourself with Cats. Give The Man Who Killed Hitler and also Bigfoot a shot. I found it boring. You may not. Definitely take the time to watch. It's such a beautiful day. And most of all, watch Fat Man. It's an enjoyable movie from beginning to end. And it actually holds a slight, a good mystery, a good soft, sprinkling of a mystery element. So that's always fun too. But that just about wraps up this video. Again, whenever I talk about movies, I don't want to give too much away about them. So if what I was saying seemed a bit bare bones, I try and do that on purpose, just so you guys can experience these movies for the first time, knowing as little as possible. So let me know down below in the comments if you decided to watch any of these movies, if you've watched them before, and let me know what you think of them. If you like this video, as I mentioned in the beginning, please give it a like and subscribe if you have not already. And follow my Instagram, right? Let's Be Frank 2020. Same thing with Facebook, Let's Be Frank. I think it's also Let's Be Frank 2020. Just look it up, find out. I could be wrong, so why don't you go look it up and find out, right? Thanks for watching, and until next time!